Let's just do a demo where we're looking to highlight these topics, these terms that we're going to do, okay? Coupled to that, I'll try to add some other things, okay? But at some point I need to stop the recording. Okay, so scenario, new Java scenario, okay? Create that on the desktop. So what are we going to call this, okay? I'll call it the same, space shooter, okay? So the idea of this scenario is a spaceship, the space background, some objects flying through space, and the spaceship actually has to either avoid them or shoot them down, okay? So normally the orientation of a game like this would be either horizontally or vertically, okay, shooting up or shooting to whatever sideways, okay. So let's add our background. We'll add, right, if your background, you can't find a background, you can always add a background over here, okay, and import a file, okay. That means if you want a background, let's say let's look something quickly. There's no pictures. Yes. Okay, alright, let's just go. Okay, but if you've got a picture, you can just try this one. Public pictures, sample pictures. Okay, there's some. So let's use, let's try that one. Let's try that one. So when you do that, obviously it will copy that particular picture inside your current world, your current folder, okay? So that you can see when you go back to your desktop there. Yes. Where's the world? Okay, space shooter and inside images. So at least that one has been copied there, okay? Obviously we haven't added any new ones. Okay, so we've got our background there, and then let's say add a class. So first one here would be our rocket. That you'll find under. Again, if you don't like that rocket, you can always add your own rocket. So that there, and then we add another one which is called space object. Space object. Okay. Right, let's say pizzas flying through space. You have to avoid those. And your shooter or your shots shots. Okay, a general idea of creating classes is your class name always starts with a capital letter. Okay, that would be a convention of creating that. So your shots here be try that little one there. You can look for others like maybe the blue one there, okay, but it might not. Okay, let's try that red dot there. That would be all your hamburgers there. I mean your your pizzas. Okay. So let's just reset that. Let's add that there. And then, okay, the shots you're not going to add now, that we'll do during runtime. Your pizzas. Okay, so let's just save that will. Okay, so the idea of this objects, it must then move towards the spaceship, and for that to happen you have to code that. Okay, to move. Okay, now remember, move plus means move forward. Okay, so generally objects faces to the right. Okay, so if you put in a move statement with a plus value, it should move to the right. Okay, so if we press that, all of them move to the right. Okay, but you don't want them to move to the right, you want to move them to the left, which in that case you have to make that a minus value. Okay, and so a minus value would cause them to move in that direction. Okay, right? Okay, so that's that there. So for the other object, your rocket now, you want to make it to move up and down in attempt to avoid the others. Okay, and that you will do using the if statement. So let's quickly look at your methods. Okay, creating your own methods. So like I say, the new methods that you create is for the purpose of simplifying your code. Okay, so generally you add all your code inside your act method. Let's just make that a bit bigger. Let's make it 20. So generally you add all your methods inside, or your statements inside your act method, but we can create our own methods. Let's say, for instance, call this mover, and that would be a method that actually moves the object. Okay, so a method is called and it's also being defined. So calling a method, but we need to define that method also. Okay, and the definition of that is then written outside of the act method. In this case at the bottom, or you could also put it on top of it. Okay. So mover. Okay, so this here is known as your method definition. Okay, that's a method definition. Okay. So the one is defining whatever happens inside the method, the other one just calls the method. Okay. Alright, so obviously nothing will happen here because there's no statement, no function, no instructions given here. Okay. Alright, so for our space, the space rocket, we want to make it to move up and down, but not forward. Okay. So normally forward or backwards would use the move method. Okay, but with moving up and down, you use the set location. Okay. So let's say if Greenfoot dot is key down, and that we use the up arrow key. So if you move up, it must do something, and if you press, copy that, if you press down, it must also do something. By the way, down can either be written with lowercase d or uppercase d. Okay, so in that case, there's no case sensitivity there. Okay, so set location. Right. To set the location to a different position, you first have to get its current location, and then or current x and y coordinate, and then just increase or decrease it. Okay, depending on whether you're moving up or down. So in the case of up, we have to get the x location, right? Because that will stay static, that will remain on the x coordinate. and then you also have to get the y coordinate, but in this case it should be okay. So in terms of your y coordinate, if this is your screen, your x coordinate would be the horizontal and the y would be vertical. It starts with 0 and ends with whatever the height of your screen is. Let's say 600, and that ends with the width, which is, let's say, 800. So your x, if you move it with the y coordinate up and down, it means it's going to decrease when you move upwards and increase when you move downwards. Okay? So for up, we need to decrease the x coordinate. Right? Make sense? So that will decrease by, let's say, -10. Okay, and the opposite of the decrease would be the increase by 10. Right? Understand? So when we test this, we then move up, down, up. Okay? So your spaceship moves up and down. Okay? Alright? So that is that code there. Okay? Want to take a picture? Okay, let's continue. The next thing we want to do is to actually try to shoot down the pizzas, okay, as they come towards the spaceship. Okay, so like I say, your spaceship is your mover. In addition to the mover, you also want, let's call this the shooter. Okay, so that's the shooter method. Okay, so your shooter method must now. Hey? Sorry again? Is it what? It's not yet defined yet, that's why it's an error. So, public void shooter. So within the shooter here, we're going to make use of our world class objects. Okay. We can create a world object over here. Okay. I've done it differently somewhere else, but let's just call it here equals to no, not equals to something. Okay, by the way, you can't equal it to something here. You have to then, okay, let's just say W equals, I'm doing it slightly different, get world, so that I don't have to do it many times, because we might use it somewhere else as well. Okay? So that is the current world it gets. That is the object of the world class, and in here you can actually then call the methods. Okay? Now the shooter will work only when you press, let's say, the space bar. Right, let me just, okay, let me take this out here. We'll come back to that there. Let me put it in here rather, okay? World W. Okay, so what this does is here creates a world class object and sets it to the current world, okay? or makes it, in other words, it makes it to be that the current world. Okay. Okay. So they create a world class object and sets it to the current world, or equals it to the current world, so that we know which world we're working in. Okay, or we want to perform these actions on. Okay. Second thing we want to do here is to check if something is pressed. So if Greenfoot dot is key down, and we press the space bar, or you can use any key for that matter. If the space bar is pressed, we then want to make a bullet appear, or a shot appear. Okay, and let's just see what is the class shots. Okay, it's called shots. So we want to say w dot add an object. Okay, so there is the method there. So that takes an actor or a object, or a actor or a object. So add object, open bracket, and the syntax here is new shots, open close bracket. Okay, it's basically to invoke a new one, and then you set the x and y coordinate. Okay, so initially let me just put in 26, 50. Okay. All right. Let's just put 50, 50 there. So if we test this and we press space bar, the dot appears there. Okay, so I can press multiple times. You only see the one, but there's actually many of them are being added there on top of each other. Okay, because it's on the same location. Okay, so space bar. Okay, when we run this, space bar will add a new object there. Okay. Right, but now we don't want to add it there, we want to add it where the rocket is. So seeing that it's in the current class of the rocket, you get the x coordinate and the y coordinate. Get y. Okay. Right, we do that. Again, if we test this, it will appear right in the center where the rocket is, and multiple times it will appear. But now, because the shot remains static there, you don't see the effect of it moving. Okay. We can then make, okay, go back to this one here. We want to make this to move also. Once it's added, we want it to make it move. Okay, so we can do that there. We don't need any additional methods there, so we just make it to okay. Okay. Alright, so that's the effect there. Okay. And again, it actually comes out here in the middle somewhere. But if you want to make it to come out, somewhere in the front, you actually have to add more units to it. Let's say 50 units. So that would make it come out there somewhere in the front. Okay? Okay. Okay, the space bar is very sensitive, so if I keep it in, it actually keeps on creating new objects, but the objects just lands up there. Okay. Right. So what you want to do with the space objects, for instance, you want to make them to disappear once they reach the edge. Okay. Right. So we can put another statement there. If is at edge, just put in Now again here, if an object is to be removed, you have to make use of the world class object or the method. So because there's add object and remove object. Okay. So over here, again it's world equals w get world oh so w dot remove remove object. Now you can either remove some other object or you can remove the current object. Okay, if you want to remove the current object, you can put in the word here space object. No, sorry, we're in the wrong space. We're on space object. We should be on shots. Yeah, sorry. Let's just let's just copy all of that there. Let's leave this here, okay, because at some end, okay, you also want to do that for the space object, so we can put in this, okay, right. The word this there basically means the current object, okay, remove itself. So the effect on that one will be there, okay. You see your pizza's moved or disappeared from the world, okay. Let's see that again. Right. So that's basically as soon as it hits the edge. So you want to do the same thing for the bullets as well, okay? Or the shots. So we can just paste that code in there. Okay, that should be +5. Okay, so our bullets is also now removed from the world. Okay. Okay. So the last thing, but the other thing that you want to do is whenever the world, or rather whenever the bullet hits the pizza, the pizza must disappear. And whenever the pizza hits the spaceship must disappear, explode or whatever. Okay. Right. I'll leave that to you later. I'll just do the shot. Okay. Right. With the shot here is if the shot if it hits the edge, it must do something else. So you have to put in the else part here, because it's going to do something funny if you don't put the else part there. Okay. Else, if what's it now? Is touching space object dot class then we want to say remove touching okay. So the idea of that is, here we go. Okay. But now for the, okay, so that makes that disappear, okay? So one other thing that you want to do with a space object is, maybe you don't want the space object to disappear when it hits the edge. You want it to appear on the other side. In other words, come out the other side again. Okay. So we take that out, and we rather relocate it or reset it to a different location, which would be at the other end. Okay. So set location. Get So we set the location to 500 would be the edge of the world here. Oh, let's just see what is the width of the world. So the current world is set as 400 width wide and 600 height. Okay. So 400. No, it's the other way around. It's 600 and 400 downwards. So, okay, so let's just run this. Okay, so your pictures come out somewhere there. Okay, there, down. Okay. Let's put that at, let's say, 590. Okay. So they come out around about there, okay? But on the same x and y coordinate, you can of course use a random number here, get it, make it to be random, the x coordinate random, okay? No. The y coordinate random, no, okay? You can make the y coordinate random, not the x. The x must stay the same, but the y must be random, okay? Okay.